Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics and Rant. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We are going to have a great time today, as usual. Hey, I see some folks are already there in the chat. Welcome aboard. And guess who showed up numero uno in the chat today? Our one and only Yvette Avery Herod. She says, afternoon, PDR Passe. Everybody who knows Yvette is our shining star in the union movement who makes sure that workers get their due. And of course, we're here with Melanie Keelan. How you doing, Melanie? Got it? Maybe? Yes, you're here, my girl. Michael Rudnan says, listening from away. Rudnan, I keep the first 5 or 6 or 7 minutes for all the stuff that you research and bring out. And you are telling me now that you are away and I have to come up with 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 minutes of material on my own? Are you trying to kill me, my brother? Kidding, man, kidding. Thank you guys for always being here. You know I can talk forever, so it does. You know how that goes. Melanie says, evening, different time zone. What do you mean, Melanie, by different time zone? Eric says, yo, all. Eric Hayes says, what a mess. As she was asked, is it time to change course on the COVID plan? And then saying, we will continue what we have been doing. Is that really smart look at the 500 million test issue, then messaging from Fauci, and then the end result, and you want to keep doing the same thing? Well, I actually have the time to answer that question, Eric. What would you suggest that she says? Please tell me, what would you suggest? The mainstream media wants these folks to come down and say, oh, I've erred, I've done all these things wrong. That's what they want. Why should she ever say that? The truth of the matter is, I think the Biden administration has done a great job with a novel virus, especially having a sect within their population that wants to get everybody else killed with their naivete, with their willful ignorance, etc., etc., etc. We have a country where there are many people who could have been vaccinated, could have stopped the virtual murder of many of our citizens by shooting viral bullets. We could have avoided all of that if people had just not fallen for the crap on the right. And by the way, all your people that you follow, they're vaccinated and they do all the right things. They're just getting their people killed. In fact, we're going to talk a little bit about that today with respect to Republicans, Sinema, and Manchin. Because you know what, folks? The reality is that America is going down a road of willful destruction. And it has nothing to do with the left. It has everything to do with the confusion of the plutocracy. People say, well, it's the right. To which I say, you know, I love my brothers and sisters on the right too, man. I tell you something, and I want to put it this way. Anybody can be fooled. I can be fooled, right? If you hit me with the right narrative and on the right day, with the right passion, and with me having some vulnerability that you have found. I don't know what it is, but some psychologist or somebody could likely find a vulnerability of mine, and they could temporarily use that vulnerability to inject me with something that makes me willfully ignorant. But the character that I have, and that I am trying to ask everyone to consider having, is the ability to say, I screwed up, I was temporarily gullible, and I am willing to keep my head up high, and in as much as I made a mistake, I'm going to change, do the right thing, and encourage others not to make that same mistake. The problem right now is our national cockiness, our national conceit that prevents us from saying we were wrong. The billions of people around the world have been vaccinated with minor consequences compared to the consequences inflicted by this drug on us. Yet, so many of us, because we cannot say we were wrong, is going to stick and try to find everything that, well, look, people that got the booster, they still get the virus. They're still shedding the virus. They're still doing this. We have people that they're still trying to say these things just to save face. As more people die day after day after day, as they get their kids killed day after day after day, as they get their mothers and fathers and grandfathers and grandmothers killed day after day after day. And it's mostly from one simple reason: not being able to say, I allowed those evil people to screw with my mind. I screwed up. Forgive me. Let's move forward. It's that simple. It is that simple. So, Señor, if you want to say, oh, come and say we've made a mistake, we have not made a mistake. The mistake that we've made is to have a whole bunch of people in this country, a country that is supposed to be otherwise more intelligent than most of the world, it isn't, not do the right thing. Had Donald Trump nip this thing in the butt, we would have not had not even 100,000 people dead from this disease, because we would have done the Ebola magic that Obama did, and that is, the disease is coming and we go and fight it head on. Head on. But making believe it wasn't there, we gave it a chance to explode. We're living through the genesis of a bad policy. We're living through what evil has done to us all. Maywood says, hello everyone from Long Beach, California. Hayes says, Biden administration owns the inflation, supply chain, energy price increases, border debacle leaving American people in Afghanistan, crime crisis, foreign policy embarrassment, energy security, letting Putin have his natural gas pipeline, COVID debacle. I tell you what, if you believe that, you are unread. Okay? For each one of those things, inflation is not controlled by the government, it is controlled by the people who set prices. Inflation, technically speaking, is too many dollars chasing too little products. And guess what we don't have in America right now? We have spot shortages. In other words, we have shortages of certain issues. If those prices went up, that would be fine. But what has happened is the plutocracy, the private sector that the Republicans think can do no wrong, this supposedly free market that can do no wrong. What they did is they said, we got spot shortages here, so we can use it as an excuse to raise prices on everything. Don't blame Biden, because we have a type of economy that allows that to happen. Blame the economic system that allows the plutocracy to gouge you, and then look at you and say it's Biden, because they know you are unwilling to do the research to educate yourself to understand the truth. Now, if you want to listen to what I'm saying and corroborate it for truthfulness, be my guest. Everything I say here is corroboratable. Supply chain. Who controls the supply chain? It's not government that controls the supply chain. It is the private sector. They are the ones who decide whether they want just-in-time inventory or not. And they chose, in order not to keep a supply of inventory on hand for times when there is a backstop, they chose something called just-in-time inventory. And by doing that, they assume those ships are going to come into port, they're going to be able to be unloaded, and everything is going to work fine. Comes a pandemic, that is busted. That's not the government, that's the private sector who screwed that up. Energy price increases. Okay, there has never been an energy crisis in the world. We have two cartels. We have the cartel in the Saudi Arabia cartel, that of which they make up OPEC, well, OPEC and a few other countries. And then we have the American cartel, the Exxons and the others that also control the pricing in the other countries. And they are the ones who limit or increase the supply of readily available hydrocarbons. And when it is not in their interest, They play with the prices. Now, they got screwed at the beginning of the pandemic where they had to pay people to take the oil that they had throughout the world in ships and all over the place. So they got screwed because they didn't plan all that. Why? Again, it's not government. It is the private sector that screwed those things up. The border debacle. Okay, now the border is a different story. That's controlled by the federal government. Not the state government, but the federal government controls the national border. And is that a debacle of the government? Yes. And did it start with Biden? No. Did it start with Trump? No. America has always had a lousy immigration policy because what it has done, it has pilfered around the world. It has created policies in Central America that affects the farmers, that affects all these people. And what do these people do? They go where they can live. They go where they can survive. And you know where that is? Migration up north, because they can work in the fields. They can do all these things. And we need them. America has a shortage of employees right now. We need that those foreigners coming into this country. Now, you'd hear the people on the right, oh, we can't do that. I sat down in Starbucks with one person one time. This guy was a staunch anti-immigration guy, and they're coming to take over. I told him to do a little bit of research. I gave him some places to go read. He came back, and you can go to my website right now and read a paper from a right-wing person who said, okay, I am for immigration now, but I'm for immigration the Republican way. I said, okay, that's a start. That's a start. So again, the border policy is lousy from every administration, both Democrat and Republican alike. And the reason why is that they're not honest about what the capitalist structure in America does overseas to create the migration that comes here. You don't see a lot of people running from Europe to come here. You don't see a lot of people running from South Africa to come here. You don't see a lot of people running from Nigeria to come here. And the reason why is these are countries where even with the American influence, they are sufficiently capitalized that they can survive. Understand what causes these problems. The problem in Afghanistan, we've been in Afghanistan for 20 years. How many more dollars of yours do you like to talk about not taxing people? Afghanistan was a money cow. It was a milking cow for the plutocracy. They just threw money in Afghanistan, just buy bombs, buy tanks. The food, instead of having the military prepare their own food, they hired private companies to go in and charge $20, $30, $40 a meal. Okay? That is what we're talking about, people. Understand how the private sector has screwed you by not and keeping you unintelligent in understanding these things. Crime rise. Crime is directly proportional to your economic status. That's just a statement of fact. And as we get income and wealth disparity, you will get a whole lot of crime. Does it have anything to do with the federal government? Absolutely yes. And you know why it has something to do with them? Because the federal government, because it has taken payoff from the plutocracy, has not created the policies like Build Back Better and others that will inflate the poor, so that no longer will they live in a system where they're completely screwed and cannot survive. Foreign policy embarrassment, that only occurred under Donald Trump. I'm sorry. There are some embarrassments for Obama when he said if this is a red line and he didn't abide by that. But Trump was the complete national embarrassment, period. And that isn't even debatable. I'm talking about each issue that Eric Hayes talking. I want everybody that's listening to me right now to have it at the tip of your tongue that when a right-winger tells you all these things that Biden has done wrong, you are ready with the answers to point out that all these things that they're blaming on Biden, it should be blamed on the people they think they want to defend. The public sector, the private sector that is actually implementing all these guys. I can go from policy to policy to policy. So, sir, anytime you want to discuss this, we can. Anytime you want. Okay, E2247 says, howdy relatives, and Eric Hayes says, Alberto, you're a good talker. Well, I hope I am. AVQ says, some days don't have time for news and just catching up. There you go. She should say, I don't know what that is. Okay, let's go ahead and continue. Maywood says, for everyone who was worried about Daniel, the guy who fell and went to the hospital, he's back home, so apparently doing well. Thank you very much for keeping us informed. Tiwala Wilson says, how about calling out real responsibility? The reality is, if America was trustworthy, we wouldn't have so much doubt. Tell me when America, with 2 Ks, has been honest about what they do to their people. Everything always comes down the line, so why would intelligent people trust a government that have never been honest to its citizen? That's just the facts. Let me stop you right there, Tiaula. I am not going to argue with you, because what you just said, I understand what you're saying. What I'm telling you, my dear friend, Miss Wilson, is government is we the people. We abrogate our duty whenever we talk about government as some third entity. Government is supposed to be us, and if they're going haywire, it is on us to take them back, or to put them in, is what I should say. Eric Hayes says the administration has screwed up, is what we are seeing. Okay, again, I've given you enough of a narrative for you to actually do your own research and find out that the statement that you just made is completely erroneous. Chiola says a person lies to 1 million times and you expect people to just automatically believe them on the 1 millionth time? No, not at all. Not at all. But I expect you to be able to calculate your belief. In other words, I expect you to be able, Tiaula, to say, I don't have to objectively or subjectively believe what the government is saying. I can objectively go search on my own after I have gotten the information to validate what it says. That's all we're asking people to do. Okay? Kids are killed by being shot in crime-infested cities with thugs running the streets out on no bail and no accountability. That's not true. I mean, the crime that we see on TV, yes, it's bad, and the TV, if it bleeds, it leads. But America is a big country, 330 plus million people. And if you take a look at the crime rate relative to the people, in as much as it is higher than recent, it is not. If you look, it's funny. I listened to the news about Chicago. The crime rate in Chicago is so high and it's terrible, etc. But here's what they don't tell you. I've been to Chicago, Coffee Party USA. We used to meet. I think we met a couple times or board meetings in Chicago. And I could go out at 1 in the mornings and walk along the beach, you know, walk along the lake, which is like a beach. Those lakes are big. You think it's an ocean. And the part of Chicago that I was in, no problem. What they don't tell you in America is these locales of crime is in selected areas and they're almost caged. Okay? And they're not physically caged, but they're caged with cops. You don't see this crime. Houston has a bad crime problem in certain areas, but it never reaches certain neighborhoods. Never, ever reaches certain neighborhoods because they are caged out of, again, so you have all the neighborhoods that are poor, etc., where because of the poverty, it breeds crime. But they're kept away. So the rest of the city lives fine. And what they do is they use the crime, however, as a political issue to have people like Eric, who lives in a very safe location, scared to death about how the system is going crazy when he himself has never seen crime. I know because I live in the same vicinity as Eric Hayes does. Robert Davenport, human lives are more important than ego. Admit mistakes, correct the course, and move on. I agree 100%, David. Or Robert P. Eric Hayes says the government should own it. Yes, we should own, the government should own, we the people should own when we make mistakes. I agree 100%. Lorraine Schultz, welcome aboard. They want to keep their states poor so they get more federal funding. Blue states always paying for red states' poverty. That is what we're going to talk about as well, Lorraine. You are a smart young lady. All right, Tiala Wilson says, please look it up. I believe it was either 1933 or 1934. The Rothschild brought America It was in the newspapers. What country has ever been bought? None. They have been taken over but never bought. America is a corporation, and once understand that, so much will make sense, and we will understand why America treats its people the way it does. Corporations have more rights than blacks in the company. You know what a lot of people want to understand, Tiaola, is what you said, in as much as what you said is actually true. I mean, if you take a look at a corporation, corporations have the rights, and they do have more rights, not of blacks people. Corporations have more rights than people, period. That's the reason I was actually a member of Move to Amend. I was a board member of Move to Amend. And it was the 28th Amendment. And the 28th Amendment, we have a lot of sponsors right now still in Congress to pass the 28th Amendment that said two things. Corporations are not people, and money is not speech. Because those two things give corporations more power than every individual American, and that is what we see in government. So it's not that government not working for the people. Government is working for those people who they can who can get to them. And what I'm saying is there's still one person, one vote. And if we share these programs that we are talking about, if we go out there and make a difference, encourage those people to not just, Tiaola, let me tell you what I want to tell you. Because you are so damn smart. You understand, based on you knowing that corporations should not be people, but they are people with rights right now. Not a lot of people understand that concept that you just brought out there, Tiaola. Not a lot of people do. But it's a very important concept. And when you hear me talk about the corporation, it's because of that fact that you just mentioned there. All right, continuing. Robert Davenport. The economy is booming, unemployment at all-time lows, employees are selecting where and for whom they will work, marquee forces are working for employees at the moment and listening to the crying too bad. Exactly. So what I'm saying is this is the opportune time for our thing to start occurring. Now that we have the power behind us, we can actually effect the changes that we want. Manchin and Sinema are trying to get that minority rule thing to take hold. We don't have a shortage of employees. We have a plethora of people who want to get paid a living wage, and you're absolutely right about that. Let's see what we have here. Let's continue scroll. Man, you guys are hitting me up today. Egberto has to keep pushing blame onto others. No, I'm not. I'm just... Eric, what statement did I make blaming somebody that did not deserve blame? That's all you have to say. Don't just make a blanket statement. Please come out and tell me what you think Egberto has said wrong. If you prove me wrong, I promise you, I will apologize. I will correct the record. I do that all the time on air if I screw up. I have no problem saying I was wrong. In fact, it's one of my virtues. In fact, I kind of like when people say, hey, no, you missed it here, because it actually means that they're listening and not just hearing. They're listening, they're computing, and then they're coming to the realization that I'm either right or wrong. And if they figure that I'm wrong, they come and they say, hey, guy, correct that statement or make that statement clearer or whatever. And I always do. All right. Para ver, Masticator. What is Masticator going to tell me? Watching Egberto once begins to understand how a charismatic presentation can get some people to ignore the misinformation and just drink the Kool-Aid. Exactly, Masticator. That's what I said about Brother Trump. That is what I said about those on the right. And I'm trying like hell to counteract that. Like hell, I'm trying to counteract that. I need your help, Masticator. Join the team. Well, you're already on the team. Tiala Wilson says, we say Trump is a national embarrassment. No, America is its own embarrassment because we the people voted for him. Why do you have to be so damn smart, Tiala? Let's correct something here. Most of the American people did not vote for Donald Trump. Let's remember that part. It's because we have a undemocratic constitution that gave Trump the presidency. Most Americans, like I always say, are good people. Most Americans are smart. But we have a constitution because the plutocracy wanted it that way that does not respect democracy, and that is what we have to fight to institute. I've given you the story about how can two senators from North Dakota have the same power as two senators from California when California has more than 10 times the amount of people in that state. That's not democratic. but it is constitutional. And that is where we have to fight, Tiaula. That is where we have to fight. Tom C., hello from Michigan, home of Republican electoral forgers and armed militia seditionists. Hey, Tom, man, you're going to have to write a poem on that one, too. Listen, if you keep writing these darn poems, like, you're going to like what I'm preparing for you, Tom. But, I mean, if you keep writing these poems, we're going to have your section on my website that is Tom's Corner. You know, like right now I have a Tom Hartman corner, and I have a guest bloggers corner. You come up with enough of these poems, you'll have your own corner as well. You know, I have these little segments on my website because like I said, everything that I do is for us, right? All of us. And if people going to generate stuff, I just think people need to be recognized for what they put out there. But at the same time, I like to tell people not only share my stuff, but share your own stuff. Get your own voice out there. Help me get my voice out. Help me get your voice out, because that is what it's going to take. People are going to have to see a lot of us thinking differently. Norman Reynolds is on Twitch. Wow, Norman, you're gone to the other side. I wonder if we could ask folks to agree or disagree one of the facts that Egberto states as such. We are the government. If it is not your basis, please therefore explain who the U.S. government represents. Norman, that was insightful. That was thoughtful. John Trott says, Trump did not win the popular vote. No, he did not. Tiala Wilson says, the key word you used was government is supposed to be. The word supposed mean that it isn't. Granted, Tiala, what I'm telling you, you are here at Politics Done Right. What we are trying to do here is empower enough of us to make a difference to remove that supposed to be out of that sentence. Will you join us? Let's do it. AVQ says, two thoughts. The desperation that comes from poverty is a leading cause of crime. Absolutely so. Despite that, corporate crime from wage theft exceeds in real dollars than all petty street level theft combined. You know something, brother? I wish you, I want to repeat what AVQ just said is important. Despite all the crime you see, the petty crime you see on the street, corporate crime from wage theft alone, we're only talking wage theft, exceeds in real dollar than all petty street levels of theft combined. And that is a fact very few people know. But let's go a little further. The theft that occurs in your municipal government by the private sector building that road, building that water plant, building that dam. The theft that occurs over and over again makes the petty criminal look like an angel. Not very many people want to admit that, but that's the case. Eric says, Egberto, wait till crime comes to you and then spew a condescending rate or statistics. Well, actually, you know what? Because of where I live, the way the plutocracy works, they're not going to let crime come there. And if crime starts to come there, they will start to mitigate how to stop the crime. And I'm not talking about crime as an individual. Somebody could come in my area and shoot me tomorrow. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about systemic crime. No, they only allow systemic crime in certain areas, brother. Understand how it works. Understand how the police was designed, why the police was designed, and how it operates. Understand those issues. The duck that quacks, welcome aboard. Eric, no way Biden can unite the U.S. with separatists like you. Huh? Well, Eric is not a separatist. Look, I'll tell you better, duck that quacks. Eric likes to be a contrarian. You could sit down with Eric and have a cup of coffee, and Eric would talk to you, and if you make something and you convince him right there, he'll say, okay. No, Eric is a good guy. So I know the guy. Eric is a good guy. Let's see. Masticator, I was nudged at gunpoint in Chicago 3 years ago. Sorry to hear that. I was nudged at gunpoint in Austin when I was in college. You know. Tiala Wilson says, don't get me wrong. I would love to be living in a real democracy, but we're still ruled by the elite. Again, Tiala Wilson, what did I tell you? Join us. Let's empower others, and let's use geometric progression to get beyond that, right? Come on, Tiala, get on our team. You are on our team. The Duck That Quack says, Eric must love what you say, EW. Here every day to listen and enjoy. Hey, I have a lot of right-wingers. In fact, I was at coffee party discussing some stuff this morning. We had some little issues that we had to discuss. And I was telling them, you know, my program has a lot of right-wingers that visit with me. And do I look at them as trolls? I have probably 2 trolls that I really can call trolls. But I have a lot of good right-wingers in here. And yeah, you know why they're here? Because they get their minds fed. And they can come at me over and over again. And we'll keep feeding each other's minds. So come on, guys, you stay the course. Egberto, I have seen people killed and crime, but you should know more as I grew up in not so ideal areas. Please know I have a reason at what I say. Hey, Eric, I don't know where you grew up, but I do know where you told me your daddy lives, and I also do know where you live now. So please, you know that I know quite a bit about you, brother. All right, the Duck That Quack says, if he's here every day and not taking cash, he loves it. Masticator, Duck, separatists, it is the left that are the change agents. You are separatists. You want to separate yourselves from American culture and values. What is American culture, brother Masticator? What is American culture? Do you mean American culture is the Pilgrims came to America, Jamestown was established in America by yet another company from England, and they established a particular culture in the areas that they lived in the land, but this land had its own culture with the native people who had a form of farming, who believed that land could not be owned, etc. But since we had a group of people that came to this land and decided that they wanted land ownership, they simply took the land, and then since they needed people to work that land to create products, etc., and they didn't want to pay for that, they brought in slaves to do that work. And since they wanted to be able to transport all that stuff through the world, they wanted to bring in people who could build a railroad to move that product from one end of America to the other end. So they brought in the Chinese and paid them much lower wages, indentured servitude. They brought in people from Ireland, etc. Which culture are we talking about? To build America, we brought in people both as indentured servants, free people, and slaves to build this stuff from all over the world. The American culture by design is not this white culture that the white supremacists would want you to believe. Now, it was created by the Constitution, Convention, etc., was created by white separatists. Yes, the Founding Fathers, they had a good constitution to keep a few people wealthy and with a certain level of democracy. But if you read the Constitution, you read the Electoral College, you read all the institutions that we have, it was never designed to be a popular democracy. Hell, senators never used to be elected by the people. We have slowly become we have slowly attempted to achieve a democracy in America. If we have to learn, you know why they don't want to teach you critical history, Masticator? And I'm not even talking about critical race theory. Why they don't want to teach you critical history? You know why? Because if you understand what and how we are founded, you realize that you yourself is but a pawn. You were a pawn in this country, Masticator. I'm going to assume that you're white, Masticator. I'm going to assume that right now. Okay? I'm just going to make that assumption. They gave you the belief that you had a tick above those others to keep you in check, but you would never have what the real separatists, the plutocrats, have. You see, when I talk about I don't believe in race, that's why. If I can get everybody to forget that word and start looking at the economic system, we could eliminate all of that, brother. Stick with me, Masticator. Stick with me. It's about change. The oligarch's law. You cannot leave democratic process to elections. You cannot leave elections to the ordinary people. Putin learned this from Shobak, loss of 1996 St. Petersburg mayoral election. I like that you brought that up, E2247. You're such a smart man. All right, let's see what else we got here. Man, I had 2 videos, but I love where the discussion, I love where you guys are taking this discussion, because it gives us a time to, when people say the things that they believe, we get a chance to talk about it and ask about it, talk about it, etc., 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 etc. The duck that quacks says, what's your issue? I know that's what we're playing right now. What's your issue? All right, anybody here now getting paid must love this show. Borough Queen says, Egberto, the media and DNC establishment is in denial. In the 1965 voting rights area aren't resolved. All is off. We are in a long January 7th, 2021. Let me tell you something, Borough Queens. By the way, I love your name. Borough Queens. You're from Queensboro in New York, is what I'm assuming. Anyway, let me tell you what my thought is. The plutocracy has its tentacles in every party, okay? There are good people in the Democratic Party. Most of the good progressives exist in the Democratic Party, and there are good people in the Republican Party. Even Mitt Romney, in as much as he's a real plutocrat, he's a plutocrat with a heart. A lot of people don't realize, oh, come on, Egberto, he's the one who said those 47%. Yeah, but that was politics. But Mitt Romney does, from when I listen to the keywords in Mitt Romney's narrative, I don't see the evil that I see within, let's say, the Ted Cruz or many of the others. Okay. But again, it's a party system. There are good people in both of these parties, but the tentacles of the plutocracy are in everyone to prevent us from being able to move as fast as we could. The fact that Obama got Obamacare, making some special deals, was magical. But the one deal that would have turned it into Medicare for all, Lieberman stuffed it. Lieberman and a couple others stuffed it. It takes us electing progressives in primaries, and people are going to say, why are you bringing that little girl up? She's not a little girl, she's a woman. And I spoke to her directly, and I told her when she was going to win. I was the first person to tell Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez she was going to win her race. Of course, now I can't reach her. She's too big for me now. But when I interviewed her at Netroots, and I listened to her and her way of thought and her age and who she could bring in, I'm like, you're going to win, girl. And also she has the intellect. And if you doubt it, ask any Republican who served on a committee with her. She comes knowledgeable, and they are actually scared to talk to her in committee, because if certain things make it to the record, we will see what we have to do to get this country in Tiala, when Tiala says supposed to be, not supposed to be, but is. But we just need to keep building that progressive movement appropriately. Okay, AVQ says, yeah, I'm barely paying attention to the chat today, watching on my phone. Never really got used to typing fast on my phone. Robert P. Davenport says, identifying the true culprit is not laying blame, it is correcting the record. Tiala Wilson says, Eric Hayes, you missed the point. He's not president now, but he was voted in by the American people. Let's see, mostly because, let's go. Doug says, I can't stand Tucker Klansman views. I'm watching or listening to him. Well, I listen to him, so you don't have to. Lived it. Haven't seen you. Where have you been? Lived it. You know, I'm still trying to work out how I'm going to get phone service to work at my daughter. You know, I have the studio that you guys built here at my daughter's place. I want to get some sort of a voice over IP plugged into the system, but I have to figure out how to do it without all that feedback and all that kind of stuff. And I haven't had the time to work on it. There's just a lot that I'm doing. But great to see you back, Liv. Did you normally give me a call and talk on the line? Let's see. The Duck That Quacks. $250 a show for resultant brain damage. Am I damaging your brain, the Duck That Quacks? Come on, man. No, I know that's not what you mean, brother. I know that's not what you mean. Let's see. This guy, Eric, is here for free. Eric can buy one. I would love Eric to buy each one of my books and read them objectively. I would really love for Eric to do that. But you know what? Now that you mentioned that, I need to do my ask now. Let me see where I'm at. I'm at Tiala Wilson. Tiala, you're missing some words here, girl. You just have ES then yes. I'm not sure what you're saying there. But anyway, let me go ahead and do my ask, because I just realized we're half through the show. Hey, this week you guys have given me a pass on a lot of videos. I mean, I have it out there, so you guys still get to see the videos that I would normally play. But you guys have been really on fire. on fire. I mean, the conversation is so much better when you direct it, you know? Anyhow, please, if you are on YouTube right now, click that join button. Become a part of our PDR posse. We need as many people to join as possible. If you are on YouTube, or rather, if you are on Facebook Live, Twitter, LinkedIn, or Twitch, this is a link, politicsdoneright.com/YouTube, to be on, to be on with it. Oh, Tiala said, when you asked if I'm with you, my answer was yes. Thank you so kindly, Tiala. We are together, girl. And now we're talking about to support us on Patreon. Go to politicsdoneright.com/Patreon, Patreon, for those that are listening on podcast afterwards. Politicsdoneright.com/Patreon, Patreon. We need your support there as well. We need 1,000 patrons and 1,000 YouTube. And at PayPal, we can use quite a bit. Politicsdoneright.com/PayPal. Politicsdoneright.com/PayPal. PayPal. Of course, you know that. Politicsdoneright.com/PayPal. To support us on PayPal, you can either do a one-time donation, one-time contribution, or you can go ahead and give us that. A lot of people are starting to say, instead of using the other two, we'll go ahead and, the PayPal stream is pretty good on the monthly thing. But what I'd like to ask everybody listening to my voice to do is get my books. You can get all 3 of them at Amazon, politicsdoneright.com/books, politicsdoneright.com/books. I promise you. I'm going to make a little ad about my books probably this weekend because I have to repeat it every time. It's 3 books. As I see it, Class Warfare, the only resort to right-wing doom. That particular book was there to show people how the economic system worked, the flaws in the economic system, how the patent system has screwed people, including myself, from being able to develop products to bring us to bring the wealth that it has brought a lot of people into plutocracy. The second one is it's worth it, how to talk to your right-wing relatives, friends, and neighbors. In other words, give up on nobody. It's worth talking to your neighbors, irrespective of your ideology. Get them to like you. When they try to hate you, don't accept the hate. Don't accept the hate. Love on people. Get them to respect you because even if they don't agree with you, they will listen to you. And eventually you will make a difference. It's worth it. How to talk to your right-wing relatives, friends, and neighbor. That is particularly of what that book does. It gives you a lot of examples, etc., that I've gone through with talking to people. And the third book is How to Make America Utopia. Now look, after you've told people how the economic system is screwed up and how they rip you off, and after you have learned how to talk to people, to whoever they are, irrespective of ideology, what do you have to offer? How are you going to make things better? How to make America utopia. Take away the economy from those who rigged it. You see? So that's why those 3 books in that order. Now, each of those books stand alone. But you can get the entire flow, if you will, by getting them all. And as Tom C, sign up for PDR, the $4.99 PDR, and you can read all my stuff online for free. So yeah, I appreciate you reminding me to point that out, Senor Tom C. Just do the monthly thing and you got a deal. Now the other thing here is you can support us by going to our store. Our store is at politicsdoneright.com/store. You can get our hoodies or t-shirts, all that good stuff. Today I have the yellow one on that says Politics Done Right. And of course, if the all-in-one way to support us, if you want to find out, if you can't remember all these links that I've told you, just remember one link. politicsdoneright.com/support, politicsdoneright.com/support. On that link, we give you all the different options in which you can support the show. But please support us because, look, really, these 16 hours a day that I work are very productive. We put out a lot of articles on all over the internet, from Substack to Medium to Daily Kos to Op-Ed News to Democratic Underground, all these places, so that our data would be out there, the progressive data will be out there to ensure that when people search Medicare for all, when they search all these other things, they will come up with some of our stuff, some of the stuff from TYT, some of the stuff from the Reward Zone, and all these other places. That's the goal, right? They have people that they can pay to populate the internet to make sure that when you type in Medicare for All, something come up and say that Medicare for All is going to kill you. Well, we also are scanned by the search engines. And when they come up with our articles, they'll come up, Medicare for All. Here is why it works. Because we are not ripping you off. But you know how I can get to do those things? Your support. I can't do this and all the other small, I look at people and I say, don't only give to Politics and Right. You want to give to, pick 5 progressive media companies that are out there trying to get our message out and support them however you can. And the reason why is that's why we don't have the throughput that a minority of the right has, because we don't have enough of us supported to do what needs to be done. Okay, thank you so kindly for listening to that. And I will be back to, whoa, I got to get back. Oh, I didn't realize I was so, you guys have a lot of stuff here, guys. Okay, let me catch up and see where I was before. I don't want to miss what anybody had to say. I need to find the last, okay, here we go. ABQ says, big money corrupting politics is the underlying problem. Yes, and that's why we created in Move to Amend. We said money is not speech, and and corporations aren't people. Even though corporations is a living being, right? They're all sanctioned by the state. They all have they have a birth certificate. Yeah, believe it. A lot of people don't realize that. Corporations have a birth certificate. Corporations pay taxes. Corporations can do bad, but you know why corporations are so much better than people? Even though they are people too. Because when a corporation does wrong, get attacked civilly and they pay a fine and call it a day. When you do wrong, you go to jail. So a lot of the plutocracy hides their evil, hides their criminality behind the corporation. And then the corporation pays the price of their criminality. And guess who pays that price? The little old, not preferred stockholder of the corporation. Hey, they always win. You always lose. They capitalize the profits and they socialize the rest. Okay, let's see what else we got here. The Duck That Quack says, perhaps the landholders are right. Common people are too ignorant or misled to vote knowledgeably. Thus, Trumpolini found 74 million of them. I'm not going to talk like that, though, brother, the Duck That Quacks, because those I want to pull in a whole lot of those 74 million. And like one of the reasons I said that I could be fooled as well is because if we have to give people a place to land, all right? I am not infallible. You are not infallible. None of us are infallible. All of us can fall. You ever fall into a prank call? You're tired and you get a call that says, hey, you're going to be arrested if you don't hit the number 1, and without thinking, that's a stupid call, but you just do it, right? That have caught me before. Or you get an email that's a phishing email and you shouldn't click that thing, but you're tired, your mind is not right, and you click it. The fortitude that you have to build up as a person, and the people that are robbing you blind, the plutocracy and others, they know that. They know that a certain percentage of the people will be caught most of the time. So I've taught myself over the decades. I rarely ever make the mistake of clicking that email. I rarely ever make the mistake of believing what somebody who called and asked me for information. Well, I don't ever believe when somebody calls me on the phone. When somebody sends an email, I almost never click. I always do some other, but I'm just using those as examples. But the same way that you can be infected by a click, infected by a phone call, you can be infected by a narrative from the right who place these things through psychological tests. They know your vulnerabilities. You have to supersede your vulnerability. And how do you supersede them? You always have to go ahead and be proactive. In other words, a Politics Done Right says, believe nothing that you feel is harmful in a particular manner or that you cannot discern immediately. Everything that I tell you, I ask you, until you develop a certain trust in me, research it, and prove what I'm saying. Because I don't want sycophants like Trump has sycophants, or like some let's say all these other locutores have sycophants. That's not what we're looking for. We're looking to learn together and moving forward. That's the whole goal. All right, let's see what else is new here. Masticator says wage theft is a false Marxist term to show discontent in the working class. LOL, and then he uses the term statistics. Nice, Egberto is a natural. No, wage theft is true. By calling it Marxist, and by the way, Masticator, let me tell you, that is how it works, right? You just proved my point right there. The idea is there is really wage theft. That's what the plutocracy is doing to you. In fact, your wages probably have been stolen as well. But here's the kicker. By attaching wage theft to the term that's a Marxist term, the person who is being stolen from, in other words, that person who wage theft is affecting, stop thinking about wage theft and start thinking about, I don't want to be considered a Marxist, so I won't think about wage theft, because it's what the working class think of based on Marxist beliefs. You see the psychology that they use on you? And it's been effective for you to make that statement as well. It has been effective. You've made the statement. So think about what I've just said. But wage theft that Michael Rudnin spoke about is absolutely right. Norman Reynolds says, regardless of history, even if we become more of an oligarchy, the things we do today, done in the past or in the future, we, you and I are paying and will pay the price for the US government. Therefore, we have no choice but accept. Fact. Thank you, sir. PDR Rodeo Arena really is a troll-free zone. Egberto is too sensible for trolls to ease with. Egberto, I'm here to learn and enjoy the discussion no matter if I agree or not. I know you are. I'm here to see others people's view and hope the same of others. And have I encouraged them to listen to you, Eric? I have. Have I ever thrown you out of the room when you've said certain things that were completely from the right-wing crazies? No, I haven't. I've tried to, just said, okay, that particular thing is off the walls. Hey, Eric Hayes, for once we agree. Listen and learn from Tom C. ABQ says, when you start looking at history, not as mythology, you start recognizing the inequities throughout the American experience. Yes, it's true. And there's nothing wrong with accepting these things, right? What's important is when you don't accept it so that you can make the change. Eric Hayes says, Egberto, please stress that you just told Masticator to the Biden administration. There are things that the Biden administration need to clean up, and I've written letters to the White House. I'm just one little measly talk guy, that's it. But, I do my little part, and if everybody do their part, it'll be fine. All right, let's see. How does Eric solve COVID? I don't know how, but Eric did the right thing. Eric got the vaccine. And Eric, the only reason, I'm not telling your business, you've already mentioned it on the show, so it's not like I'm telling folks, any private conversation you and I have had. You've told our audience before that you've had the vaccine, which was a smart thing to do. David Chan, Dems are in the worst of trouble and the GOP smells blood in the water. And we have a lot of time. And I think it's going to be troubling when some of the stuff comes out, not for the sycophants, but it's going to be troubling when some of the people see that we are on the verge of becoming a banana republic. When they realize how a few crazies were about to land an insurrection that could have worked. That's what I want to say. All right, let's continue scrolling down. Monthly is fun. Join us. Robert Davenport says, the duck that quacks. New Jersey charges sales tax on membership. Super chats are tax-free. So yeah, go ahead and give me a super chat then. Tom C says, sign up for $4.99 per month. Why not? Support us. We need thousands. We can get it. I need help. I need people to help me process videos. But right now I can't. So it's 16 hours a day. All right, Robert Davenport says, How to Make America Utopia. I'm reading it now, informative and well written. Brother Davenport, thank you so kindly for having purchased that book, sir. Appreciate that. From my heart to you, sir. Carl Cox, Egberto, did you see and read my latest email to you? You go to prison if you do what corporations do. Sinema and Manchin have dump trucks of money dropped off in the middle of the night. Carl Cox, I am in email hell. And I answer, when my peeps send me emails, I answer them. So if you haven't received a response, it's just that I'm in backlog, but I make sure to answer emails to my peeps. All right, E2247 says, please support Egberto and the entire PDR posse. I use Patreon, but there are other ways. Thank you so kindly, brother. Eric Hayes says, if you want a different wage, maybe do like everyone else, the Vogue thing, change jobs. You can't always do that, sir, because jobs are in different locations. People can't move because of restrictions. People can't get daycare for their kids. It's a whole thing, and that's what Build Back Better is there for. Give mama, daddy a place to have their kids so that they can be gainfully employed where they want to be. You see, Build Back Better is explained the way it should be. Everybody wants it. In fact, right now, as it is explained, a lot of Republicans do. Peggy Lopez says, hi all, just dropped. Oh, it's 4:59 already? Damn. I just dropped my 81-year-old friend at the emergency room, took her to the urgent care corner in California, and they had me take her to emergency room. I could get her there sooner than an ambulance. It's a shame. I'm going to zoom through these real quick. Eric Hayes says it is fine. Yes, I have and would recommend it, but the mandates no. Okay, we'll fight about that some other time, Eric. The Duck That Quacks says left a big oil spot in the driveway. The State Labor and Wage Board don't seem impressed. ABQ says the right wing bubble answer to COVID. Mask off. When you get it, you get it. And if you get badly sick and die, you die. That is funny. That is funny. The Duck That Quacks is the last message. That's the Republican solution. Maybe Eric. You know, my friend, the congressman, what's his name again? Oh, God, I've interviewed him several times here on the show. You know, my mind's going crazy. ABQ says, Peggy, hope your friend is okay. All right, guys, I got to get out of here. I didn't play not one video. I just talked and talked and talked based on what you guys had to say. And you know what? I must say, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. Anytime you guys want to do this, look, let me just tell you, the blog for the show, every show has the videos that I was going to play on the show. So therefore, you can always go to the blog for the show at politicsandright.com and click on today's show, and you can click on the link with the blog that corresponds to the video for the show. And as far as talking to you guys, well, I enjoy that more so than just playing a video. So look, guys, thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. I know you could be anywhere, but you're here with me. You guys have a wonderful rest of the day. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you guys know how I end this, baby. I am what? Out. We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead, number one, subscribe to our channel, and number two, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.